Welcome back to our regular and effective contact series. Today we're going to talk about think, pair, and share activities. I've modified the traditional way of thinking about the activity, and I've actually created two check-in points. So I hope today's lesson will be useful to you. So let's get on with the description of how I'm using think, pair, and share. So today's think, pair, and share activity is going to be about immigration. So the theme is immigration. You could use this with any topic, of course. There's two parts to this that I'm going to describe. So part A is going to be the immigration discussion, and that's actually going to be the think, pair portion of the project. And then the sharing, I guess sharing really occurs in A and B, but I want the final share to be a graded project that a student writes after they reflect upon their conversation. So I've decided to go with an altered definition of think, pair, and share. I'm explaining it to the students so that they have a clear goal in mind what I'm asking them to do. I think frequently we assume that students will understand instructions, so I think just by placing these instructions up here, I have a generic think, pair, share process. I'm going to give this to the students and use this on a frequent basis. It's a collaborative learning activity where you work with a smaller group of students, possibly groups of two. I'm not sure what size I'll break this into, but they're going to answer a question about a given topic or theme. So I'm kind of trying to condition them in case I decide to use this again later. The strategy requires you to think individually about a topic in order to formulate an answer, share and discuss solutions with your group, okay, and then after discussing, furthering your findings, communicating with each other, and then finally in step 3, they're going to create a final individual written assignment for a grade. So I want to make these instructions really clear to the student at the beginning before they even start the activity, before they even think, right? Okay, so so create your instructions, set the tone, give them a strategy to kind of think about what they're going to do before they do it. That's always a successful strategy. So it's my belief that by setting this up that they need to think about the video while they're watching it and search for just 3 words only that describe this video or that are meaningful to them is an important part of the process. Now remember, you can use any topic you want. I chose immigration because our One Book, One Campus theme this year is focused on immigration, and so we've been talking about it a lot. And I give them an example also. So after watching this video, I want them to think of 3 words that describe the presentation or are just simply a part of the presentation. And so what they're going to do is create just 3 words. So my example is simply immigrants bring experiences, right? 3 words. They have to narrow, they have to focus while they're watching the entire video from this expert. So there's an expert here from a TED Talk. Okay, so step 2 is simply to pair and share with your group. This is obviously a discussion in Canvas. They need to explain the 3 words that they chose, so they need to share the 3 words. They need to explain why they chose those words, why your choice is meaningful to you. They're having a discussion, right? How these 3 words relate to the speaker's overall presentation. You know, was this a portion of it? Was it the main theme? How does it fit in? So why are you choosing these 3 words? And then they need to have follow up with their partners. You know, do you have any follow-up questions? Do you feel like your partner's making a meaningful explanation to you? Okay, and in this process, some people call this also pairing and sharing. I have another step where I want them to share one more thing, but some people just stop at this point and say that's your think, pair, and share. You've got a discussion, you've got a well-formed discussion. You could create a rubric based upon how you want them to clearly answer the questions. I naturally brought up the term rubric, and while I do not have a rubric for this particular discussion, it would really be based upon the value of the points that you're giving the students, and then you would look at your instructions and set up some criteria for each one of the instructions. So maybe I could give 5 points for grammar, flawless grammar, okay grammar, maybe I could give 5 points for the overall discussion between the group. The discussion between the group, how are they talking to each other and learning from each other? Maybe I could give 5 points for creativity in the particular idea that the student has. How unique is that? And how well do they defend themselves, or how well do they describe themselves to their group? There's lots of different ways you could do that, but if you line up your rubric with the points that you're awarding for that particular discussion, it's clearer to the students, and they will know how they're going to be measured and what you're valuing in this first step. Okay? Now, once again, this could be the entire think, pair, share activity. I have a secondary activity I wanted to add because I find the more check-in points that I have with students, the better the project is, the more clearer I am to them, and the more ammo I have for evaluating how well the student is doing in my class. So the third step in this activity is sharing with me a well-written paragraph. So students are going to write an immigration paragraph based upon what they were thinking the previous discussion was about. But there's a twist here, and there's an important twist here. So sometimes in political science classes or controversial topic classes or topics that come up, we ask people to think from a different perspective. So I decided that we would share in a short paragraph of 250 words max, a light research on an ethnic or cultural group that is different from your family tree. Okay, so they have to think from a different perspective. Use the 3-word title of your think, pair, and share. So what was the 3-word title you created? And then write a brief paragraph that supports your title or theme. So for example, I could choose Mexico, and I could write a short paragraph on how a Mexican immigrant brought an experience here. Now, obviously it's broad enough that you could choose any experience that someone brought over and shared here. You get as detailed as you want, you could be as broad as you want, but try to find an experience, and then it kind of gives you the title for the paper. So we're kind of now putting people in situations where they can create a topic, think about something outside of their realm, and hopefully create a really well-written paragraph that helps them see a different experience. Obviously, we want to keep it short and pinpointed. I'm not looking for a 4-page paper here. I'm just looking them. Maybe they research something from the web, from the news, that kind of thing. Keeps them a little pinpointed and targeted. They can practice their paragraph writing skills. Write it in Word, edit it in Word. Make sure everything's fine, and then post it here. It's simply a text entry box, and it's worth 20 points. And once again, you could develop the rubric around that so it's easier for them to see what you're evaluating. This is not a series on rubrics, but rubrics are great activities. If you want more help with rubrics, please let us know. We're more than happy to give you ideas with rubrics. Well, once again, my activity was actually 2 parts. It could have been defined as the immigration discussion was actually an entire think, pair, share activity. And then I asked students to share again as kind of a reflection. Obviously, you could use one of these ideas and modify it. You could use both of these ideas and modify it. These are just check-in points for online classes. This is just one way to do it. I'd be more than happy to share these activities with you. If you are an instructor within the VCCCD district, Moore Park, Ventura College, Oxnard College, it's easy for me to get this to you. If you're outside the district, it's a little harder for me to get this to you, but I can get it to you. I can share it with you. thank you for attending today. Regular and effective contact with check-in points and measuring how our students are doing in our classes are so important in online classes. It helps you measure attendance, measure engagement, measure ability. How are they doing in my class? Are they ready to go from writing a paragraph to writing a paper? Can I give them feedback along the way? Am I showing them how I want them to grow in my class and learn in my class? So regular and effective contact is an important part of teaching online. We're figuring out ways to take what we do in the online classroom and create experiences in the online world. Okay, so welcome. Glad you came back. I'm glad you're here for the fourth installment of regular and effective contact. It's a very important concept to me, and I will continue to find activities that you can break apart and take apart and use any way you want to. I can share them with you, etc. So thanks for being here today.